Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Professor Kulbhushan Chandel from Himachal Pradesh University Shimla. Today we are going to talk on module Values, Beliefs and Assumptions of Organization Development from paper Organizational Change and Development. Let me know that what we are going to discuss in this module. We will be describing the concept of values in organization development. We will be studying the values, beliefs and assumptions in organization development. We will be knowing the main organization development assumptions, and finally we will be understanding the main implications of organizational development values and assumptions. A set of values, belief, and assumptions are an important part of the organization development, which helps in shaping the goals and methods of the field and also help in distinguishing the organization development from other improvement strategies. Most of these methods have been formulated early in the development of the field, and also they continue to evolve as the field itself evolves. There are various assumptions and beliefs which are developed from research and theory by various behavioral scientists and from the experiences and observations of the practicing managers. There are various studies done which provide as a source for the validity of values and their supporting assumptions. These sources are the Hawthorne studies, human relation movement, laboratory treatment movement, clash between fascism and democracy in World War II, and increasing awareness of dysfunction of bureaucracy, research on effects of different leadership styles, group dynamics, and many more. Values and assumptions do not spring from full-grown individuals and societies, but they are formed from the collective belief of the era. 7 basic organization development assumptions. There are several assumptions which help in determining the organization development programs that can be utilized to the fullest potential. These assumptions are basically based on French and Bell. Types of organization development values. The types of organization development values are humanistic, optimistic, and democratic. These are explained as under humanistic values. The humanistic values are those values which are important for the individual's respect and dignity, and it assumes that everyone has interesting views and all individuals have potential for growth and development. Optimistic values. Optimistic values are those that suggest that people are basically good. Progress is also possible and desirable in human affairs, and that rationality, reason, and goodwill are the main tools for making progress. Then it is democratic values. Democratic values emphasize the sacredness of individual, the rights of people to be free from misuse of powers, importance of fair and equitable treatment for and the need for law and justice. Most of the individuals work towards the achievement of their personal growth and development, but the work habits of a person are the result of the work environment as to their personal goals, and according to the work environment the work habits of a person should be directed towards changing how the person is treated rather than towards attempting to change the person. The productivity level can be increased by integrating the individual goals with the organization goals, and such integration would also improve the quality of the product. In organizations, the cooperation among employees proves to be more effective than competition. Conflict and competition would reduce trust, forbid collaboration, and would ultimately reduce the effectiveness of the organization. For a healthy organization, the efforts should be made at all levels and the problem should be solved by using the problem-solving methods. The dominance of the adverse feelings affect the problem-solving approach and also affect the personal growth and satisfaction level of an individual. So, there should be free expression of the feelings, which is a great ingredient for the higher commitment to work. The growth level of the individuals is according to the level of relationship which they have with other employees. The relationship could be open, sportive, and trusting. Accordingly, the level of interpersonal trust, support, and cooperation level is determined. The difference between the level of commitment and agreement must be fully understandable. Agreeing to do something which is different from being committed to do something, the sense of commitment makes it very easy to accept change and its implementation for change for the purpose of organizational development easier when such commitment is based on the participation of employees. Organizational development programs must be reinforced by the organization's total human resource system. Let me know that how the beliefs can be defined. A belief is a proposition about how the world works, that the individual aspect is true. It is an intellectual fact for the person. Then the values. Values are also beliefs and are defined as beliefs about what is desirable or a good, like free speech, and what is undesirable, like say the bad, like dishonesty. Assumptions. Assumptions are beliefs that are regarded so valuable and obviously correct that they are taken for granted and are rarely examined or questioned. Thus, values, assumptions, and beliefs all are intellectual facts or propositions, with values being belief about good and bad, assumptions being strongly held, relatively unexamined beliefs which are accepted as truth. Values, assumptions, and beliefs provide structure and stability for the people as they attempt to understand the world around them. Events in management and organizations thought. We can divide all the events in 4 different eras. 1. Before 1939, which include Frederick Taylor and scientific management, Max Weber bureaucracy, Mary Parker Follett participative leadership, Hawthorne studies, then Chester Bernard theory of authority, and Levin Lippitt and white democratic leadership. Then it comes the era 1940 to 1960, which include Kurt Lewin, that is the group dynamics and laboratory training, then Wilfred Bryan, then Lentz's Likert survey and feedback method. Then it is Eric test, which is based upon socio-technical approach. Then it is Robert Tanbeon, and this is itself based upon team building. Then it is late 60s, 1960s. Then it is the Douglas McGregor theory X and theory Y. Then Burns and Stackers, that is based upon two forms of organization structures. And then Rance's Likert democratic leadership style. Then Katz and Kahan, that is the open system, and it is the addition and Wesley, it is a six-pack theory, practice and value of organization development. Then it is the second wave, the last one. It includes Edgar Schein group process consultation. Then it is David Coprinder, and it is appreciative inquiry. And then it includes Marvin Beesboard, and that is based upon future search. And finally it is Harrison own open space theory. Values of organizational development. There is a set of underlying values concerning the nature of the man and his work in the organizational context, which exert a power influence on the process and technology for developing the fully functional organizations. These values are providing opportunities for people to function as human beings rather than as resources in the production process. Providing opportunities for each organization member as well as for the organization itself to develop to his full potential, seeking to increase the effectiveness of the organization in terms of all of its goals, attempting to create an environment in which it is possible to find exciting and challenging work. Then it is providing opportunities for people in organizations to influence the way in which they relate to work, organization, and environment. Then it is treating each individual as a person with a complex set of needs and all of which are important in his work and life. The values provide the guidelines and directions for what will be undertaken in an organizational development effort and how the program will evolve and be sustained. Types of organization development values. The types of organization development values are humanistic, optimistic, and democratic. These are explained as the humanistic values, then the optimistic values, and democratic values. Early statements of organization development values and assumptions. Values are integral part of the organization development. There are three statements regarding the organization development values which have significant impact on the field, as written by Warren Vennis in 1969, proposed the organizational development practitioners, which are also known as change agents. They have given the normative goals which are based on the humanistic and democratic philosophy. These normative goals can be: there should be improvement in interpersonal capability, there should be shift in the values of human factors and feelings have come to be considered genuine, and there should be development of increased understanding between and within working groups of reducing tensions. More effective team management should be developed and the capacity of function group to work more competently. There should be development of better methods of conflict resolution, development of organic system in place of mechanical system, and then the mechanical system rely more on authority obedience relationship, and the organic system that should rely on mutual confidence result, and the mechanical system comprises of division of labor and hierarchical relationships, while the organic system comprises of multi-group membership and relationship. These are various players of organizational development, and they have formulated various assumptions for the functioning of the organizations. These values and assumptions may not seem profound today, but in 1950s and in 60s they represented a large departure from accepted belief and assumptions. Belief like trust, respect for individuals, open communication, decentralized decision making, participation, and contribution by all members of organization were exposed and rarely implemented in the majority of the organizations at the time. Implications of organization development values and assumptions. On the examination of the assumptions and their implications for the organization leadership members, the main implications which arise are implications for dealing with individuals. There are about two main assumptions in the organizations for organization development. The first assumption is that the most individuals work for their personal growth and development if they are provided with the supportive and challenging environment, as most individuals have potential. The second assumption is that the most of the individuals desire to make and are capable for making contribution to the organizational goals. The main implications of these two assumptions is that the individuals should be asked, listened to, supported, and should be encouraged to permit failures, remove obstacles, and should be given freedom, responsibility, and the success must be rewarded. Implications for dealing with groups. There are various assumptions with regard to the importance of the work, teams, and collaborative management of the team culture. The first assumption is that psychologically the reference groups for most of the individuals is work groups, and it also greatly influences the feelings of satisfaction and competence. The next assumption is that most people interact with at least one small reference group, and that can be work group, peer group, or family group. The next assumption states that most people make greater contribution to the effectiveness and development of the group. All these assumptions provide various implications like let the team flourish states the best manner in which the work can be done and through which the social and emotional needs of the individuals are achieved. Also, the team leadership style should be adopted which will give importance to teams rather than individuals. Implications for designing and running organizations. Clearly, the traditional hierarchical forms of organizations like emphasis on the top-down directions, grouping by specialized functions, following of chain of command, and many more which have become obsolete. They can't meet the social needs of the marketplace. Thus, experimenting with the new organizational structures and new forms of authority are introduced. The organization should not follow win-lose organization structure in which one side wins and other side loses. Rather, an organization should follow the win-win strategy in which cooperation is created rather than competitive organizational dynamics, which is primary task for the organizational leaders. Further, it is possible to create the organizations which are humans, development and empowerment on one hand, and high performing, profitable, and gives quality product on the other hand. Basic assumptions. Some of the basic assumptions regarding the organizational development programs are similar to theory-wise assumptions. The main assumptions for the organizational development efforts are that about people, most individuals work for a personal growth and development. These are most likely to be actualized in an environment which is both sportive and challenging. Most people desire to make and are capable of making a higher level of contribution to the attainment of the organizational goals than most of the organizational environment would permit. About people in group, most of the people in the organization wish to be accepted and to interact cooperatively with at least one reference group. That group can be work group or family group. The most psychological reference group is the work group, including peer group and supervisors. Most people are capable of greatly increasing the effectiveness in helping the reference groups solving their problems and in working for their effectiveness. About people in organization system, organizations tend to be characterized by independent work group which are function of supervisors and other needs. The happenings of the major work group in the organization affect the small working groups. The level of interpersonal trust, support, and cooperation is much lower in most organizations that are necessary. Improved performance stemming from organizational development efforts need to be sustained by appropriate changes in the appraisal, compensation, training staff, and task specification. In the other words, in the total personnel system. For example, a company has adopted the following values of openness, confrontation, trust, authenticity, proactiveness, autonomy, collaborations, and experimentation. These main values form octapace culture in a company which is necessary for initiating the organizational development activities and interventions. These values are interpreted in the sales and marketing functions, and the examples for each value can be explained like, say, the openness, informing the superior about the shortfall in the targets to be achieved. Then it comes confrontation, which include the discussions regarding the distribution functions, about the non-availability of the physical stock. Then it is the trust, which is based upon the restrictions, which is restricting the improper utilization of information and data available on the product marketing strategy. And then it comes the authenticity, which is based upon the establishment of the procedures by the sales managers. Then proactiveness, which is based upon preparing the contingency plan for maintenance of the sales target which are to be achieved. Then the autonomy, which is allowing the line manager to take decisions about investment plans. Then it comes collaboration, which is providing necessary inputs to the sales administration for quicker settlement of the grievances of the field employees. And finally, the experimentation, and which is based upon the encouraging the new marketing strategies for new products. Let's summarize what we have learned from this very module. A set of values, beliefs, and assumptions are an important part of the organization development, which helps in shaping the goals, strategies. Most of these methods have been formulated early in the development of the field, and also they continue to evolve as the field itself evolves. There are various assumptions and beliefs which are developed from research and theory by various behavioral scientists, and from the experiences and observations of the practicing managers, there are various studies done which provide as a source for the validity of values and their supporting assumptions. These sources are the Hawthorne studies, human relation movements, laboratory training movement, clash between fascism and democracy in World War II, increasing awareness of dysfunction of bureaucracy, research on effect of different leadership styles, group dynamics, and many more. Values and assumptions do not spring from full-grown individuals and societies, but they are formed from the collective beliefs of the era. Most of the individual work towards the achievement of their personal growth and development, but the work habits of a person are the result of the work environment as to their personal goals. And according to the work environment, the work habits of a person should be directed towards changing how the person is treated rather than towards attempting to change the person. The productivity level can be increased by integrating the individual goals with the organizational goals, and such integration would also improve the quality of the product. The difference between the level of commitment and agreement must be fully understandable. Agreeing to do something which is different from being committed to do something, the sense of commitment makes it very easy to accept change, and its implementation for change for the purpose of organization development is even easier when such commitment is based on the participation of the employees. Thus, values, assumptions, and beliefs all are intellectual facts or propositions, with values being beliefs about good and bad, assumptions being strongly held, relatively unexamined beliefs which are acceptable as truth. Values, assumptions, and beliefs provide structure and stability for the people as they attempt to understand the world around them. There is a set of underlying values concerning the nature of the man and his work in the organizational context, which exert a power influence on the process and technology for developing the fully functional organization. The values provide the guidelines and directions for what will be undertaken in an organizational development effort and how the program will evolve and be sustained. The types of organization development values are humanistic, optimistic, and democratic. There are various players of organizational development, and they have formulated various assumptions for the functionings of the organizations. These values and assumptions may not seem profound today, but in 50s and in 60s, they represented a large departure from accepted beliefs and assumptions. Beliefs like trust, respect for individuals, open communication, decentralized decision making, participation, and contribution by all the members of the organizations were exposed and rarely implemented in the majority of the organizations at the time. It is possible to create the organizations which are human, developmental, and empowering on one hand, and high performing, profitable, and gives quality products on the other hand. People always support what they have created themselves, so the individuals should be encouraged to participate in the organizational development process. Thank you.